Hello and welcome to The Appointment. I'm Pranjal Sharma. Joining me today for a conversation is Rahul Sharma, who's the co-founder of Micromax Informatics. Rahul, thanks very much for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me here, Pranjal. It's good to be here.
Rahul, you had a fantastic entrepreneurial journey, and your brand Micromax is, I think, much better known than you. How did that happen?
How did that happen? It's a long story for that. Yeah. We need to do a couple of episodes.
Right.
But yeah, since beginning, the whole idea was we wanted to solve complex problems. So the mind was always that, okay, to try and solve something complex. And that's why. So my background is, in fact, the background of all of, four of us founders, we come from a middle class background. My dad was a teacher in school, so as, for my other co-founders also. So we started this organization as a software company in that time. Then that was in year 99 or so. So we thought, okay, we'll come up with some great software solutions. And so there are multiple stories that making. Those days it was when we started off, it was all .com was buzzing.
Yeah, that's the point, because now Micromax is known for its mobile phones and it's a very strong brand, and you've really put in a lot of effort to make it compete with the biggest brands of the world. But the story before the mobiles were launched for Micromax is equally interesting. Tell us about the time when you founded the company, and what was your vision at that time? What did you want to do as a young entrepreneur?
So that that's as I said before we launched mobile phones, usse pehle even my parents, they never knew that what I was doing. Because we were into fixed wireless phones and fixed wireless terminals, so it was a little complex in terms, because we were working on a lot of GSM and embedded technology solutions. So कोई भी पूछता था उनसे कि अच्छा जी लड़का क्या करता है, तो they used to say हाँ जी कंप्यूटर का काम है. That was easier for them to explain. Of course now we make mobile phones, so people know.
So what was your business at that time? Micromax Informatics sounds like a very heavy name, and it clearly indicates the beginnings rooted in software. So what were the kind of solutions that you began?
Yes, so still, say the name is, and why Micro, so the original name of the company was Micromax Software. And when, from a proprietary company, when we wanted to become a private limited company, at that time ROC, they never, they said, okay, Micromax Software, that name is not there available. That's why we kept it Micromax Informatics. So till today, even though we make mobile phones, the name is Micromax Informatics. So we used to work on a lot of different, software technology on multiple platforms, from e-commerce to embedded technology, and then to all fixed wireless and GSM technology. That was a time when you used to work on all different diverse technologies. And how we started making mobile phones, there's a small incident which happened with me, which I've shared in my earlier interviews. We used to supply these fixed wireless phones and terminals to Airtel and Vodafone and all. One day there was a problem in one of the products, and I got a call from one of the senior guys from Airtel. He said, Rahul, there's a problem in your equipment. Why don't you go and solve it? I said, yeah, I'll send some engineer. He said, no, you yourself go, because it's a senior level escalation. It's better you go and see it yourself. So I went there. It was in Behrampur, deep interiors of Bengal, touching Bangladesh border. I saw the problem, solved the problem, and then so this was like 5 hours away from Kolkata. So I took a cab, so and reached there, solved it. While I was going back, I saw this village where there was this Airtel IST PCO, and since we were supplying all the equipment, fixed wireless equipment, I knew that this has been powered by one of our equipments, but there was no electricity in that village. So I asked my cab driver, I said, "Bhaiya jara gaadi rokna." I just walked inside that payphone. I said, how are you powering this payphone? There is no electricity in the village. He showed me a big truck battery there. He said, Saab, yahan se power le. I said, this is fine. Those days we were not making phones. I was using some other phone. So weak signal here, there was no signal. So I said, how do you draw signal? He said, he showed me a big 20 dB gain antenna with some 30 meters of wire mounted on a pole on his terrace. He said, that's how I draw my signal. So this is India for you. I got more intrigued. I said, this is good, but then how do you charge this battery, because there's no electricity in your village? Sure. He said, there's a village 11 kilometers away. I lug this battery on my bicycle, go there overnight, charge it, and come back in the morning. I said, how much money do you make? He said, I make around $70 to $80. Now, $70 to $80 in a village where there is no electricity in India is a big amount of money at that time.
That's true.
This means no entertainment, no TV, nothing. And that was the time I started thinking that why don't we try and solve this problem? And then again, in interiors of Bihar, when I was traveling, I saw people with different chargers, and on top of it was written, pay 25 rupees to charge your phone. And that was the time I came back, I sat with our engineers and I said, why can't we make a phone which will last long? And that was the time. So that's how we started. Our first mobile with 1 month of battery backup was born, and we said, okay, this is Micromax.
You identified in many ways the needs of the average Indian much before the global companies, and I completely think that you got it right, because there was an arrogance in some of the global handset makers who did not want to go beyond the elite and the urban markets. Where did this thinking of going to these aspirational markets, or the markets which you're developing in tier 2 cities, where did that sense come from?
One thing which we realized that time, that so for example, energy was a big problem, and we said, okay, let's try and solve this problem. So all the global companies, they were cooking their food in their global R&D house, which was not having Indian flavor. People here wanted Indian flavor. So we said, okay, if you want an Indian flavor, we will start cooking the food here, which will serve all of you guys. And hence we started identifying all those gaps in the market. So for example, 1 month battery backup, long battery phone, we were the first one to launch, and it became a category in itself. Then we said, okay, why can't we have a dual SIM phone? Now, why dual SIM phone? Because one day I saw my cook using 3 SIM cards. I said, why are you using 3 SIM cards? He said, 1 for local calling. I said, second. He said, second to call my native village. I said, third. He said, which incoming is free, so I'm not throwing it away. So
right.
I went back to our engineer and said, hey, why can't we make a dual SIM phone?
Right.
At that time, people thought that only rich people can afford multiple SIMs. But the consumer truth was different. These were the guys who were using multiple SIM cards.